Welcome you to the Burke County Board of Commissioners regular meeting for June the 17th, 2014. On our items tonight, our call to order, Madam Clerk, all of the commissioners are here, the county manager, the county attorney, and the the finance director and deputy county manager are all present. I'd ask everyone in the audience, if you would, to please silence your mobile devices at this time for me, if you would. Also, I want to introduce tonight for our invocation will be Chaplain Johnny Phillips, who is standing right over here. Chaplain Phillips will come up and give the invocation, and immediately after that, we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Lonnie Holler, the Commandant of the Marine Corps League, Table Rock Detachment 1197, and we welcome you folks here too. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you'll rise with me for the invocation, immediately after that, we'll do the Pledges of Allegiance. Okay, Chaplain Phillips.
Would you bow your heads with me in prayer, please? Lord our God, we come with thankful hearts for the gifts and the dedication among those who are gathered here as we meet in this hour to make decisions that will improve our community. We ask that we be led by your wisdom and that all we do be in harmony with your concern for others. In the name of Christ Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, gentlemen, if y'all can come around and let us take a picture with you in the front, please, sir.
Looks great, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, join our The next item we have is the approval of the minutes. Gentlemen, before you have the minutes from April 14th, 2014 regular meeting, the May 6th pre-agenda meeting, the May 20th regular meeting, the May 27th recess budget meeting, and the June 3rd, 2014 pre-agenda meeting. I've had a request from Commissioner Carroll to remove the May 20th minutes for further discussion, so that would leave us with April 14, May 6, May 27, and June the 3rd. If there's not any changes, I'll take a motion to adopt those.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
You've heard the motion by Wayne, pardon me. All in favor signify by raising your right hands. That'd be 5-0, Madam Clerk. Next item is the approval of the agenda itself. At this time, I would like to move decision item number 4 regarding Northwoods. I'd like to move it up before we go into the budget presentation, as it will have an effect on the budget. So I'll need a motion as we table this matter. I will need a motion to take this off the table.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
You heard the motion by Wayne to take this matter off the table at this time for decision. All in favor, raise your right hands. That'd be 5-0, Madam Clerk. So we'll move forward with the DSS president. If the DSS folks would come forward. Give me one moment. All right, this time we have for approval of the purchase of a technology solution for the Burke County Department of Social Services by piggybacking a bid awarded by Dane County, Wisconsin to Northwoods Consulting Partners Incorporated and appropriate fund balance presented by Doreen Hernandez, DSS Director. Doreen?
Yes, good evening. Chairman Carswell and fellow commissioners, I appreciate each of you taking the time to carefully consider the need for an updated technology solution for our department, and further appreciate you taking the time to research all possible options for our current issues. We've answered many questions in regards to our current needs and met with you several times to assure that all questions were answered to your satisfaction. I understand that Mr. Bennett has made himself available to answer questions as well, and that the commissioners had the opportunity to speak with other counties who have chosen the Northwood solution, and we're pleased with their reports. Our department concurs with the county manager's recommendations and would ask that the supporting motions be voted on and approved at this time.
All right, gentlemen, you've heard a presentation from Doreen. Any other further questions concerning this matter? Anyone? Go ahead,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman, I did have one question. Lorraine, after the initial purchase and the support program that's going to be about $100,000 a year, and you got $2,000 for training every new employee that you got, is that also a shared cost by the state?
The maintenance fees are reimbursable. by
Doreen,
the
move
state.
just a little closer to the mic
Yes.
for me.
Yes. The maintenance fees are reimbursable by the state.
100%?
No, they never reimburse at 100%. It's a good idea, but typically it's about 50%.
50%? Okay, that's all I had. So,
Any other questions or concerns? All right, gentlemen, I'd like to have this in a three-part motion. You have those before you. If somebody would like to make the motion and read those three for the record, please.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the purchase of Northwood's Technological Solution for the Department of Social Services by piggybacking a bid awarded on September 13, 2013 by Dane County, Wisconsin to Northwoods Consulting Partners Incorporated in the amount of $927,805 as permitted by NCGS 143-129G. You want all three at once?
Yes, sir. Further move.
Further move to appropriate general fund balance for this expenditure as follows: fiscal year 13-14, $185,561 less state reimbursement. Fiscal year 14-15, $992,540 less state reimbursement. Further move to authorize the county manager to take all action necessary and as permitted by North Carolina general statutes to complete project implementation up to an amount not to exceed $1,178,101 and including contract execution.
Thank you, Jeff. Y'all have heard the motion by Jeff, three-parter, of awarding the piggyback and the reimbursements that we will receive and the action to be taken by the county manager. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hands. Madam Clerk, that is 5-0. Doreen, thank you so very much.
You're welcome. Thank you all. We appreciate
And
it.
thank you, Northwoods, for being patient with us as we explored every possibility, because this is a big move for us.
Thank you.
All right, this time we have a scheduled public hearing. Item number one, the county manager, is the adoption of the 2015 budget and budget process itself. Mr. County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We presented a recommended budget some weeks ago. Since then, we've had several occasions to have budget workshops and receive input. We had the school board come and visit us to go into further explanation of their budget request. What you have tonight before you is basically the recommended budget with the addition of the funds that are needed for the Northwood project, as well as some additional money for the school system, that being $120,000 for the STEM Academy, one additional school nurse, which will be a total of 5 nurses funded by the county for a cost of $294,000, and $37,000 additional for one additional school resource officer. That will bring the total cumulative budget, including the cost of renting the space and utilities, to a total of $14,239,400 for fiscal year 2014-2015. If you have any questions, we'll be glad to answer that, and if not, Mr. Chairman, whenever you're ready to begin your public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. County Manager. Madam Clerk, I'm now going to open up the public hearing. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the 2014-2015 county budget? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Gentlemen, does anybody have any questions or concerns for the county manager?
Mr. Chairman, I have one question. I just wonder if I'm the only one thinking this way. How's that? On your general fund of $76,241,219, and we have changed that by adding in the Norwood project. And I thought we were going to use the excess money of this year to purchase the Norwood project. And it somewhat drives that fund higher. And could affect next year's budget at a starting point, which would be somewhat artificial because of money designated for one-time cost.
Commissioner Taylor, if it's okay, we're going to let Paul come forward and do an explanation.
Well, just want to make a point of clarification. The general fund budget of $76,241,219 includes the action the board just took on the Northwoods project, so that number's already in there.
I understand that. And the question is, would it not be better on the behalf of this board to purchase that out of funds that we have in this budget versus adding it to your general budget, which we kind of have been telling each other we weren't going to have an increase in the budget, and that we're shooting up. Last year's budget was what, 74 something, and this is around $2 million more.
Well, just to go over the budget implications of the previous action, the only payment to Northwoods, will be the 20% contract payment due on execution of the contract. So that's the only expense for that project that we will incur out of the current budget year, which is $185,000 some odd dollars. So obviously, the bulk of that 1.1 million project will have to be paid out of next year's budget. So what will happen is the monies that will be surplus this year will be added to fund balance. Then next year, we are appropriating that money in order to pay the Northwoods and the DSS project implementation. So the budget that you have for your consideration right now includes appropriating a net cost of $502,000 out of fund balance in next year's budget. So you're increasing the overall expenditure budget by $900,000, which is the next year's cost of the project. We're anticipating $490,000 reimbursement from the state. So that leaves the remaining $502,000 to come out of the fund balance, which will increase because of the excess revenues this year.
Mm-hmm. I understand what we're doing. My question is, would it not be cleaner and look better to the board if we encumbered that money out of overage for this year instead of taking it and applying it to next year's budget?
Well,
Excuse me, Paul. Yeah. Some of us are running for the re-election, and that's the reason I'm asking the question.
But unfortunately, that's the way it works, is that, you have to budget money in the year it's spent, which is next year. And what we're saying is that instead of using resources that will occur next year to pay those expenses, we're going to take the surplus from this year and pay it next year. I mean, it's a timing issue because you're here at the end of the year, so the revenues, will be added to savings, let's just put it that way, this year, and then we'll turn around and pay that out next year. But I mean, that's just the way it works.
You're giving me the explanation. You're not answering my question.
Yeah. Well, I don't know any other way around it.
Would it not
tell you,
be,
that's the only way it can work.
Would it not be cleaner if we encumbered that money and took it out of that account instead of adding it to next year's budget?
Well, I mean, I understand you want to encumber it, but at June 30, everything ends. And anything that's not spent will roll into fund balance. So even if you encumber it, you're going to have to reappropriate it next year in order to spend it. I mean, that's just the way, government works, is that, anything that is not spent this year and continues next year, any kind of contract, any kind of continuing contract, you have to appropriate the funds next year to pay those expenses.
Well, when we started this discussion of the purchase of the Norwood, that's where we started, that we had the money,
Right.
and we would allocate that money, and it would stand on its own and not be added to the budget. So that's my question. Doesn't change my mind about we should buy it or none of that.
I wish I could explain it better, but that's just sort of, that's sort of the mechanics of the way budgets work, so.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just say, not any budget in the last 12 years has been a perfect budget, but I think, we have to make those tough decisions. We got a lot of departments, and we don't want to cheat any department. I'm sure each one of us would like to give more money to certain departments and whatever, but I think one of the most positive things in our last two budgets are that we are, as caretakers of county buildings, we are getting our county buildings back into shape after a lot of neglect where we were pulling so much money out of fund balance we couldn't take care of our buildings. And I'm happy that we're, as caretakers of our county buildings, we're getting them back in shape and fixing some repairs that have come up over the years and whatever. So, like I say, it's not a perfect budget, but it's what it is.
Thank you, Wayne. Anyone else? What's the pleasure of the board regarding the 14-15 budget?
I would make the motion to adopt the FY 14-15 budget ordinance number 214-06 for the general fund, school half-cent capital outlay fund, the school 1 cent capital outlay fund, the emergency telephone system fund, the fire districts fund, the water and sewer fund, the solid waste disposable fund, and the solid waste collection fund is presented. And then on top of that, I also move that we approve the memorandum of agreement between Burke County and the Burke County Board of Education for FY 14 and 15.
Thank you, Wayne. Gentlemen, you've heard the motion by Wayne. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hands. Madam Clerk, that will be 5-0. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a budget for 14-15 without a tax increase. Thank you so very, very much for all the hard work, Mr. County Manager, Mr. Finance Manager, County Attorney, and Commissioners, and Madam Clerk, that we've done on this budget this year. I'm very proud, and to echo what Wayne has said, I think we've come a long way from where we were several years ago, and we've treated our departments well, as much as we could with the available funds that were there, and again, I do thank you. All right, Madam Clerk, we'll move on to item number 8, which is informal comments. Has anyone signed up, please?
Yes, sir. We have Clifford Beckler.
Cliff Bechtel. All right, Mr. Bechtel, if you'll move to the microphone at the podium there, please, and stay close to that microphone for me.
All right, my name is Cliff Bechtel, and I'm the president of the Lake James chapter of the North Carolina Wildlife Federation, and I'm here on behalf of our group and the community of Lake James, Inc., and the Catawba Riverkeeper. And I'm not going to read this whole resolution. I just want to give you an idea of why we came up with it. Last summer, we had a boater on Lake James. His fuel line, I guess, broke a leak, and it caught fire, and it sunk. And all the ensuing gasoline and oil in that boat eventually leaked out because it was in the water for 2 or 3 months. And when residents called to try to get it removed, we found out that when they called the Sheriff's Department, they said it was the Wildlife Department, and the Wildlife Department said it was 9/11. 9/11 said it was Duke Power, and everybody was so confused as to who was supposed to do what that we got together and came up with the resolution. And I'll just read the beginning of it and the end of it to give you an idea. Resolution to the Burke County Commissioners regarding chain of command responsibility for environmental incidents occurring at or on Lake James and the Catawba River waterways in Burke County. And at the end, we say, now therefore let it be resolved and requested by the undersigned organizations, that's the ones I mentioned, that the Burke County Commissioners direct the Burke County Manager to convene a task force of county departments, Duke Energy, and a representative from each of the undersigned organizations to discuss the issue heretofore described in this resolution and to develop a policy and process/protocol in response to the issue for subsequent review and approval by the county commissioners. And that's about the gist of it. And if you You all have a copy of it, so if you get a chance to read that, you'll know what we're talking about. And I'd also like to thank you for your service to Burke County, because I can see you have a lot on your agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Clifford, and we will take this under advisement. Madam Clerk, is there anyone else?
That's all the cards I have.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to item number 9 on the agenda is the consent agenda presented by Brian Steen, County Manager. Brian?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentlemen, you have 13 items on your consent agenda. Number 1, clerk acceptance of CDBG progress report submitted by Western Piedmont Council of Government. Item 2, clerk reappointment to Regional Aging Advisory Board. Item 3, clerk reappointment to BDI Board of Directors. Item 4, clerk appointment to the Social Services Board. Item 5, EMS contract renewal for EMS Medical Director. Item 6, finance approval of funding allocations through the Home and Community Care Block Grant for fiscal year 2014-15 and the HCCBG agreement for provision of county-based aging services. Item 7, general services, consideration of contract extension with Republic Services of North Carolina for waste transportation and disposal. Item 8, Health Department, resolution authorizing the sale of small dental equipment and supplies. Item 9, JCPC, removals, reappointments, and appointments to the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council. Item 10, NCDOT, resolution related to the proposed abandonment of a portion of State Road 1745, known as Old Lowman Street, NCDOT Division File Number 12.0826 in Burke County. Item 11, Tax Office EMS Collections Report for April 2014. Item 12, Tax Office Tax Refund Release and VTS Report for April 2014. Item 13, Tax Office Tax Collection Report for May 2014. That concludes your consent agenda, sir.
Thank you, Mr. County Manager. What's the pleasure of the board on the consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that we approve all 13 items as presented on the consent agenda.
You heard the motion by Maynard. All in favor, please raise your right hands. That would be 5-0, Madam Clerk. I'd like to recognize Judge Clifford Smith being here tonight. We thank you and your appointment to JCPC, and we do appreciate you being in the audience for us tonight, sir. Yes, sir. We now move to item number 10, items for decision. Item number 1 from the clerk is the appointment to the Western Piedmont Board of Trustees. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The Burke County Board of Commissioners appoints 4 members to the Western Piedmont Board of Trustees. Dan DeHart's term ended June 30th, and he did not submit an application for reappointment. However, we have 5 applications for your consideration tonight. They are from Ron Lewis, Bill Lennon, Sandy Walker, Buddy Fisher, and Kenneth Day. The term is for 4 years, ending June 30th, 2018.
All right, seeing that we have 5 applicants, we'll take a motion or a recommendation.
Mr. Chairman, I would nominate Ron Lewis for that position.
Okay, we have a nomination for Ron Lewis. Are there any others?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Mr. Bill Lennon for that position.
Are there any others? All right, we have 2 nominations on the board. I will take the first nomination was Ron Lewis. All in favor of Ron Lewis signify by raising your right hands. And all in favor of Bill Lennon, raise your right hands. Madam Clerk, that'd be 4 in favor of Ron Lewis. Mr. Lewis, you have now been appointed to the Western Piedmont Board, and we thank you for being here. Also, Bill, we thank you for being here tonight also.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Privilege of a comment.
Yes, sir.
A couple of the applicants have called me, and I suggested, and one of them's going to fill out one of the other places where we have a vacant position. So, I'd like to just, we had 5 great contenders. I think we could have been happy with either one of them. But we do have lots of other boards, and on the behalf of myself and hopefully the other board, if one of them you're interested in, please fill out an application for that board.
Good comments, Maynard. And I will echo what Maynard has said. There are, when we finish up tonight, Kay will announce the vacancies, and we have plenty of those vacancies that I wish you would consider. Moving on to agenda item number 2 from the county manager is the award of the construction contract for EMS station number 7. Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, you may remember that we've gone through the process of architect and engineering for the EMS station. The project was bid out. We had, as I believe, 5 companies respond and provide sealed bids. The company, the Mosley Architect, has confirmed to have been responsive, and the lowest sealed bid was CSC Construction for this project. And I would be asking that the board allow me authorization to engage in the contract for the construction of EMS Base 7. And the bid price, if I'm reading this right, was $1,124,000, I believe 500, is that $86?
$588.
$88. All righty.
Okay, gentlemen, you've heard the presentation by the county manager. Are there any questions for him? If there are no questions, I will take a 3-part motion regarding this matter.
May I ask one question?
Yes, sir, you may.
This is coming out of which fund?
You've set money aside in a capital account, and you've also appropriated some fund balance because it came in a little bit beyond what we had originally anticipated. And again, we did not have any kind of a cost estimate from the architect when we were originally planning for the building.
So does this ends up in next year's budget and not this year's budget, correct?
It will occur at July 1. The project can't start before July 1, so it would be in the 2014-15 budget.
All the questions I have, Mr.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions? All right, anybody like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move to award the bid for construction of EMS Station Number 7 to CSC Construction of Morganton Incorporated in the amount of $1,124,588. Motion also to authorize the county manager to execute the contract on behalf of the board, subject to review and/or revision by the county manager. Further move to authorize the county manager to approve and execute change orders in an amount not to exceed $25,000 if needed.
Thank you, Jeff. You've heard the 3-part motion by Jeff. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hands. Madam Clerk, that will be 5-0. Thank you, County Manager. The next item is item number 3 from the Fire Marshal, approval of contracts for fire protection services for Lake James Community Volunteer Fire Department Incorporated and the town of Glen Alpine. I recognize Mike Long, our Fire Marshal. Michael?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I come before you tonight to request the Board of Commissioners to approve a contract for fire protection services for the Lake James Community Volunteer Fire Department in the town of Glen Alpine. It's a requirement by which all fire departments in North Carolina must meet and retain to be certified for their ratings and for re-inspection and insurance grading purposes.
All right, you heard the presentation by Michael. Are there any questions? Any comments? I'll accept a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve contracts for fire protection services between Burke County and the town of Glen Alpine and the Lake James Community Volunteer Fire Department, Inc., as presented, or approve contracts for fire protection services between Burke County and the town of Glen Alpine and the Lake James Community Volunteer Fire Department for 1 year.
All right, gentlemen, you've heard the motion by Wayne. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hands. Madam Clerk, that will be 5-0. Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you, Mr. Keener, for being present to represent Glen Alpine. All right. That will move us to item number 5, General Services. A request to waive landfill fees for vegetative storm debris in the town of Morganton, presented by Brock Hall, our interim General Services Director. Brock?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you know, the city of Morganton has made a request that the county waive landfill tipping fees for vegetative debris from storm damage on the storm that occurred on June 10th. This is debris that's generally larger than the typical residential roadside pickup debris. They're talking 4 inches or larger, and a lot of branches and tree trunks and that sort of thing. The budget impact should be minimal. They're not estimating more than 3 or 4 truckloads to come into the landfill, and it's been suggested that, if approved, this waiver remain in place until July 8th. And I'll take any questions the board may have.
Any questions for Brock? All right, you've heard his presentation.
Move, Mr. Chairman, that's a
All right,
no-brainer.
we have a motion by Wayne. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hands. That'd be 5-0, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brock. That moves us into our reports and comment section, item number 11. I believe I'll start on the right-hand side tonight, Mr. Attorney.
No substantive comments, but I did want to point out that Commissioner Abley is celebrating his 50th wedding anniversary, and that's a lot to be proud of.
Miss Ellie said so also.
Well, let me tell you this way. If it wouldn't be for Miss Ellie putting up with me for 50 years, I'd probably be paying alimony to 3 wives and child support to about 15 kids by now. And if she was a Catholic, they'd make her a saint.
She's not present, is she?
All right, Mr. County Manager, you want to go now?
Unfortunately, gentlemen, I have to share with you that our library director, Jim Wilson's father, passed away recently. Just want to keep him in our thoughts and prayers.
No comment.
Lander?
No comment.
Jeff?
Just a question, if it's appropriate. Mr. Manager, can you give us any kind of update on the Enola Road DOT process?
That gentleman has been busy himself, and he is to get back with me here in the next week or two. I don't remember the exact date, but I've got a call in. I'm wanting to get that back on track.
That's all I have.
Jeff?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Nothing? Okay. Madam Clerk? Any comments?
Thank you.
Well, again, I want to reiterate what we said earlier and thank the board again for its hard work coming up for a budget this year. I know there are some departments that would have truly like to have a lot more money, but the money is just not available, ladies and gentlemen. We went as far as we could with what we had. I hope you appreciate the fact that we are diligent, and we sat in a number of meetings for a number of hours, and we went back and forth over this budget. And as Wayne said, it's not perfect, none are. So I'm just proud of this board and what they have done. Madam Clerk, can you give us our vacancy announcements?
Certainly. We currently have the following vacant positions: Hickory Regional Planning Commission, the Adult Care Home Community Advisory Committee, Nursing Home Council Community Advisory Committee, Council on Aging, Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, the Burke County Planning Board, Library Board of Trustees, Morganton Board of Adjustment for the ETJ area, Voluntary Agricultural District Board, Industrial Revenue Bond Board, Burke County Parks and Recreation Commission, and the Child Protection and Child Fatality Prevention Team.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this time, I'll give a point of personal privilege to the Vice Chair.
Yes. I said I had no comment, but I failed to make this comment during the Norwood presentation. I think the board and the Burke County needs to give an applause to Hernandez. By waiting a week or two, she saved us $200,000 on that purchase right at it. So can we do that?
Yes, sir, we
give
can.
her applause?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. I have a need to go into closed session to preserve the attorney-client privilege and discuss threatened or pending litigation, discuss economic development matters, and discuss a personnel matter as authorized by North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11, paragraphs A, 3, 4, and 6. If I can have a motion.
So move.
Have a motion to go into closed session. All in favor? Be 5-0, Madam Clerk. If we could take just a few minute break before we go into closed session. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your patience. We had a proper motion to come out of closed session by Wayne. 5-0, Madam Clerk. No decision items were taken under consideration. Thank you so very much. Motion to adjourn by Wayne. All in favor? Aye.
I'll see y'all down there. I need to stop and let the dogs out.
Now, is this a totally new contract? Just an extension?